Hello, this is Shambhavi. Welcome to Satsang. Satsang is an ancient spiritual practice from India. It means being in reality together. I give Satsang live every Wednesday and Sunday night in Portland, Maine. This Dharma talk was recorded during one of our Wednesday night gatherings. Please visit jayakula.org to learn more about the teachings. You can find video satsangs on Jayakula's YouTube channel, and my books are all available on Amazon.com. Much love to you, wherever and however you are. When we come to the teachings for the first time, any teachings, any tradition, where we're asked to actually practice, we come with the best of intentions. And if we stick around and we keep practicing and we keep studying, hanging out with teachers and communities, then very soon we're going to come up against something that we don't want to change. Something that we don't want to give up. Something that we don't want to be seen. And in our culture, normally that first thing, and the second and the third and the fourth, things that we don't want to give up, don't want to have seen, don't want our teacher messing with. We don't even want our practice to mess with it sometimes. So we could get to a point in our practice where something starts to deepen or relax, and then we pull back because we realize, oh no. I didn't know I was going down that slippery slope. Forget it. So we come up against these walls, and usually the first wall we come up against and the second and the third has something to do with pride. So pride, what is it? I talk a lot about it because it's so rampant in our culture. It's the most viral thing in our culture. Pride is when you have the concept that something has to be admired or approved of by other people in order for you to feel good about yourself. So you have this very embodied idea. When I say embodied, I mean it's not just a thought, it's a habit of body, energy, and mind. A deep habit, a deep samskara, where you have the conviction somewhere in you that in order to feel good about yourself, to feel your own value, then you have to be admired or thought well of by other people for something particular. Whether it's an accomplishment, or how good you are at something, or how smart you are, or how fast you are, or how good you look, or, there's infinite things that you can develop this samskara around. Now, of course, you'd have to be a saint, literally, to feel perfectly wonderful if everyone you ever met hated you and disapproved of you. That would be a rough road, right? But we can rest assured that this reality in its infinite wisdom and mercy would only give that situation to someone who was a saint. When I say a saint, I mean someone who's highly realized. It's very hard. Even if we are not terribly subject to the samskara of pride, we still feel embarrassingly good when someone admires us or thinks well of us or praises us or something like that. And we feel embarrassingly bad when the opposite happens, when we're criticized or when something we do flops or we have a public flop of some sort. So those things are really, really difficult for us. And when we come to the teachings, we discover our little knapsack of things that we have wrapped our pride around, like pigs in a blanket, little pride sandwiches that we're carrying around, or they're more like rocks. Yeah, they're more like rocks, that we're carrying around. So it could be pride about ourselves as spiritual people. That's very, very common, especially in these kinds of traditions, traditions from India and Tibet and China. Often people who have gravitated in that direction since they were younger and have developed some sort of spiritual persona that you're lugging around with you, and that's based on basically an ensemble of ideas and fantasies and maybe 9% actual experience of something. But it's good to have 9% actual experience of something. That's great. It got you wherever you are, but then you've wrapped all the other stuff around it, all the excess. You've developed an identity around it. So that's very, very common. And then there's whatever the other things are. How wonderfully caring you are. How wonderfully smart you are. How wonderfully funny you are. How wonderfully degreed you are. How wonderful you are at having no place in society and getting by. Some people have pride about that. You can have pride in just about anything that you feel you might get admiration or approval for. Usually the first kind of tussle that you have with yourself and with the teacher and with your practice is around letting go of your attachment to receiving praise or to feeling special about something that you've gotten yourself all embroiled with, something about you. And there will be many, many things that you'll do to try to get out of A, recognizing that you're enslaved by this attachment to whatever it is, and B, actually feeling like it's something worth letting go of and finding out what's there fresh and new instead. So there are many ruses, many things that students will do to try to get out of giving up one of the rocks in their knapsack. Right. And of course, all of them have to be gotten rid of. It doesn't mean that you can't be good at things. You will be good at things. I'm not talking about just being good at stuff. I'm not talking about your capacity in and of itself. I'm talking about your attachment to being admired for it and your absolute tiger-like defense of your right to hold on to that thing, whatever it is. So you will get angry at the teacher for pressuring you in any way at all. It's like the teacher puts their finger on a boo-boo, and you'll, no, don't touch that place. Right? You'll start competing with other students or with the teacher if you're not doing it already, in order to dig your heels in for whatever it is that you have your pride wrapped around. You'll start hiding things. You'll start being whatever it is that you are around other students or other people, the braggart that you are, the show-off that you are, the sly manipulator of other people's opinions that you are. You'll start doing that around other people and trying to hide it from the teacher. So it's like the person who goes down the middle of the night and eats in the kitchen while no one's looking. Or you'll just flat out deny it. You'll deny that it's real, that you'll deny what is being pointed out to you. But the fact of the matter is that you've got to let go of that, whatever it is. And the process of letting go really begins with actually feeling the pain and the heaviness of what you're carrying around with you. Because yes, it's true, you've been getting kudos and strokes and manipulating people into thinking well of you, or even thinking that they're lesser than you. That's another favorite thing that pride does. You deliberately try to make other people feel lesser than so that you can feel more than. That's not a kind way to be in the world. You have to start to feel that stuff is heavy and painful. You have to start to not want to be that person anymore. You have to start to feel the millstone around your neck of those kinds of compulsive patterns that you can't let go of. You have to start to feel your desire to be seen and your desire to express your sweetness and your goodness and not your meanness and your competitiveness. Basically, you have to start to feel really bad about the things that were making you feel really good. Not bad guilty, not bad shamed, because that's just another millstone, right? Feeling ashamed of how you are, feeling guilty of how you are, just sitting around feeling bad about yourself is just another ruse of ego. It's just another distraction from getting on with the work of really opening your heart. Instead of opening my heart to you, I'm going to sit around and feel bad, and I'm going to write in my blog about how bad I feel and how regretful I feel. And I'm going to, write on Facebook about it, and I'm going to call up all my friends and take up all their time saying how bad I feel about how horribly I've treated everybody else. Really, regret is healthy, but only for a short period of time. And then you realize, hey, I have tools and I have opportunity to get rid of this, right? And what's the number one medicine for this? Pride. What?
Failure?
No.
Honesty? Practice.
Devotion. Letting a natural feeling of devotion happen. Right? Letting your devotion out. That is the number one medicine for pride. And of course that naturally comes out with practice. It naturally comes out with being honest and more relaxed. But devotion, not attacking ourselves. Behind all that seeking for love and approval from other people, or puffing yourself up and stomping around, is actually a feeling of tenderness toward yourself, a feeling of love for yourself. That's there. It's just, you don't trust that. You trust the external more. Right? But that self-love, that self-tenderness, that devotion to the self, to the fact, to just existence, to being alive, the marvelous fact of being alive, that is already there. It's just you've been trained out of paying attention to that. But it's already there, and as you begin to relax and practice, you begin to feel that more. And pride is very brittle. Pride is, you get this, it gets this grip on you. And then even though the devotion is coming, and you're starting to feel that sweetness and that sense of relaxation and how much you want it, and you're just too prideful to let go and dive into it. But eventually you get over that. Eventually, it's like... So this is a wall that people often bang against for a while. In all different kinds of ways. And sometimes it's simply just by continuing, like a dog that won't give up the chase for something, or like an addict, just continuing over and over and over again to keep seeking for that approval, even when you know it's completely bogus. Even, long after you've realized how completely bogus it is. Because maybe it'll work just this one more time. Maybe if I come to Shambhavi with my little handful of things I want her to admire one more time, she'll do it. It'll just work, And she'll say, "That's so fantastic. You're so special. I've never had a student like you before. I can't believe you just came up with that all on your own. That was such an amazing dream. Such an amazing vision. Such an amazing act of service. You're so selfless." And you'll be like, it'll all be okay. Because Shambhavi admired you. It won't all be okay. It'll all be down the toilet. Because just like a junkie, 5 minutes or 10 minutes or 15 minutes later, you'll be back for more. And it'll be an endless, endless, endless chase. And you're already in the midst of that endless, endless, endless chase. And that's what's exhausting so many of you. And when you stop chasing, you can have the experience of real devotion, real tenderness for yourself. Just for the fact of your existence. That marvelous, unbelievable, extraordinary fact that whatever condition you're in, you actually are here. Wow. And lots of stuff happens. And it's very poignant and tender. And that's the place to start from. If you really get it, as I've said for like the last 10 years, that you are pre-approved. No approval necessary. This is your home, this is your place. If you're here, you belong. There's no entrance fee, there's no hoop to jump through. You have just as much of a place, of a home, of a right here to be here as anybody else. You don't have to justify your existence. You can just be yourself. And it's fine if you want to waste the rest of your life seeking approval and admiration. That's fine too, but then people like me will just have to stare at you and walk away occasionally and prod you occasionally, see if you're ready to move on yet. So once again, I say to you, just take a minute to feel what it is like to just stop seeking. Just let that seeking of validation engine come to a creaking stop. Most of you would not know what to do with yourselves minute to minute if you weren't seeking that validation. But it is very relaxing to stop seeking. So here's an interesting thing. You could just sit in front of your altar in the morning and just take 10 or 15 minutes not seeking anything. Establish a new habit of not seeking. This is supposed to be, we're seekers. But the thing that you're seeking can't come to you if you're like this all the time. You have to be like an empty vase. That's the image in Dzogchen. You have to be like an empty vase. So if anybody here who knows me and is studying with me wants to know if I like you, or if I approve of you, or if I think you're a good student, or anything like in that vein of questioning, I just want you to have one thought. It is always the same answer to that question. I am giving you my entire life. What more do you want from me? No, that would be, I'm giving you my whole life. Why aren't you coming over for dinner? There's literally nothing else I could give you that I'm not already giving you. So next time you find yourself trying to impress me or get my approval, think about that. And that's true of every teacher in these kinds of traditions if they're actually doing their job. It's not just me. The amount of hours I work every week, I'm making about $9 an hour. I just made that up. I have no idea, but it's just... So I am making less than all of you per hour. So if you don't think that's love, I don't know, what can I say? Jayakula is a nonprofit community offering opportunities to learn and practice in the direct realization traditions of Trika Shaivism and Dzogchen. We are based in Portland, Maine and Portland, Oregon. Visit jayakula.org to explore more of our offerings.